What's going on, everybody? It's Kanye, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make the best 3&D point guard build in NBA 2K22 current gen. Now, there are multiple 3&D pie charts. We've got more green than red, even green and red, and then more red than green. In today's video I'm going to show you how to make two builds using the more green than red and two builds using the even green than red. This way you'll have options, some different build titles to add some uniqueness to your build, and it'll allow you to kind of see different ways you can make these builds. I will not be using the more red than green just because in my personal opinion that pie chart isn't very good, it isn't very viable, and there's just better pie charts such as the two I'm going to be using. Before we get into this too, I just want to say thank you all for your constant support. My views have been great on my last few videos I've posted. You know, I've been getting multiple likes, multiple comments, and I really appreciate you all engaging in the videos. And again, the subscriber counts continue to go up, so I really appreciate that as well. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this. So obviously we're making a point guard. We're making the best 3&D point guard. For handedness and jersey number, that's completely up to you. So the first pie chart we're going to work with is that more green than red pie chart. Now, of these four builds, I prefer the more green than red pie chart builds compared to the even green red. But that being said, you know, you may have a different preference, so that's why I'm going to show you both here. But to start, we're going to go with the more green than red. I'm going to be giving all these builds a decent ability to dunk, so we're going to go ahead with that speed invert pie chart. And now to our attribute application. So first you're going to max your close shot, max your driving layup, max your driving dunk. For shooting, you're going to max your mid-range shot, max your three-point shot, and then put the free throw up to 90. For playmaking, you're going to max your pass accuracy, max your ball handle, and then we're going to up the post control until we have 11. Or no, let's go all the way up until we have 12. Okay, so 49. For defense and rebounding, we're going to max our perimeter defense, max our lateral quickness, max our steal, and we're going to put this all the way up, and we're going to take it down to where we get 17. And these last four we're going to put on standing dunk. I must be missing something somewhere. Here we go. Let's back this off down to 11. We'll put those 9 to get 2 finishing badges. So you can see here we got 2 finishing, 22 shooting, 11 playmaking, and 17 defense and rebounding. So as far as the 4 builds I'm going to make, this one has the lowest finishing badge count. I want to ensure it has at least 2 finishing badges because if you've watched my earlier videos, silver limitless takeoff is an essential on a badge. There's an essential badge on a build you want to be able to drive to the rim with. Having at least silver limitless takeoff will give you much better animations than having anything less than that. I'll also point out that this build itself will have the most shooting badges out of the 4 builds I'm going to show you here. As far as like overall ability, this is going to be my favorite build just because, you know, we're going to have a really good badge count. When we get into the physicals here, we're going to be going defined. We're going to stay at that 6'3" height for the ball handle's sake. We're going to minimize our weight because we want to get the speed up as high as possible. And then for our wingspan, we're going to go just one below max because it leaves our ball handle at a 76. The reason it's important to leave your ball handle at a 76 is because that's going to allow you to get an 80 overall ball handle at 99 overall. So when we look at our stats here, we've got above a 70 driving dunk, which at a 99 we're going to have a 75, which will unlock even more dunk animations. For shooting, we've got an 87 mid-range, an 86 three-point shot, which is outstanding, which means those are going to be a 91 and a 90, respectively at 99, which we know that it's not as hard to shoot in 2K22 as it has been in previous years. So having 91 mid-range and a 90 three-point shot is insanely good. For ball handle, like I said, at 99 overall, we're going to have that 80 ball handle. Defensively, you know, we're going to have an 88 perimeter defense, an 89 lateral quickness, and a 97 steal, which is outstanding defensive numbers. Not to mention we're 6'3", so we're not undersized, and we're also going to have base an 88 speed, an 87 acceleration, and an 81 vertical, which, as I've said before, if you get your +4 at 99 and then your +4 for your gym rat badge, you're going to have +8, so it'll be a 96 speed, a 95 acceleration, and an 89 vertical, which is great for this build. Having that 89 vertical is not only going to be good for your dunking animations, but it's also going to be good for chase down blocks, because even though you don't have the block upgraded, if you have chase down artist on bronze, you're still able to get those good chase down animations. So for takeover options, what I would recommend, you already have mid 80s and will have low 90s shooting ability, so I wouldn't go with sharp take. Your ball handling is starting off at a 76. Now it does get to an 80. You can use shot creator take, but as I've stated in earlier videos, I think this is the worst takeover in the game as far as overall usefulness. Block take, you can use that, but your defense is already really high, so I wouldn't recommend it. I would, in this situation, recommend playmaking take, because your playmaking ability is what lacks the most at the point guard position with this build. Not that it's bad, but playmaking take will like put it over the top, especially when you're not to 99 yet. You don't have those elite dribble moves. Playmaking take will make it a lot easier to dribble. And so upon doing that, you're going to see that we've created a two-way sharpshooter. Now I realize this isn't the rarest of build names, but in my opinion, this is the best way to make this build to maximize its potential. But we're going to show you a couple other ways to make this build, maybe get it a cooler name. So I'll meet you back at the builder. All right, so now we're back here at the builder again. We're still on the more green than red pie chart, and we haven't adjusted any of the attributes. So the biggest difference between this second build and the first build isn't anything in the attributes, it's actually going to be the height. So we're going to go from 6'3" down to 6 foot. Now you're going to see we have that 80 overall ball handle to begin with. For weight, we're going to minimize it. I'm going to give you a couple options here. You can drop your wingspan down to get to that 81 ball handle. This is going to allow you at 99 to have the 85 ball handle, which is great. Now your dunk will take a hit, and so will your defensive stats slightly. With the shorter wingspan, I've seen experiences where you can't get the steals as easily, so I don't prefer it on a defensive build. What I would recommend you do is you go to 78.3. This is going to give you a +1 on your driving dunk. You're not going to lose anything off your ball handling, but you're also going to get a +1 on your defensive stats. So by doing so, we're now a 6-foot point guard. We have an 88 mid-range and 87 three-point shot. So at 99, you're going to have a 92 and a 91, respectively. We're going to have above an 80 ball handle to begin with. And then for defense, we're going to have an 88 and an 89 and then a 97 steal. So all these stats are still really good. You're going to see our speed is improved. So now with our +8, we're going to have a 99 speed, a 98 acceleration, and we're still going to have our 89 vertical, which is great on a 6-foot build. And then also we're going to break that 70 threshold on our driving dunk at a 96 overall. So we'll unlock some more dunk animations there, which you can still get the quick drops off one. I believe those unlock at 65, and those are really the only dunk package you need. So no change in the badge count. Improvement in the ball handle, and everything else remains pretty much the same except for the speed and physicals also improve. And so you're going to see our takeovers here are still similar. Again, I'm going to go with playmaking take just because that's the spot that needs the most improvement. And instead of a two-way sharpshooter, we have now created a playmaking shot creator. So this in itself is kind of a sleeper build. Your normal play shots, as we know, are green and yellow builds. So this is going to be a playmaking shot creator that can actually play really good defense too, and it's going to be unexpected. So if you load up in park and you're on your play shot and your buddy's on a lock and your third guy's on his center, right, or his 3-man, it's going to be throwing the other team off when the play shot is still picking up the other team's 1, because normally you switch that, right? But since you're a defender now, you can stay and not have to worry about getting that switch and getting your arrow switched on defense. So that's a big perk to this build, and it's kind of a sleeper. But to give you a couple more options, we're going to go back into the builder, and this time we're going to be using the even green and red pie chart. We're going to create a couple different builds and show you how they're a little bit different from these. Okay, so now we're back at this point in the builder. You've seen the first two builds that we're using this more green than red pie chart, but now we're going to use the even green and red pie chart. Now, I'm going to point out some differences that this pie chart has compared to the other one, and some benefits and some places that it also lacks. So once we get in here, we're still going to be using our speed invert pie chart because we are still going to have that dunking ability. So we'll go with the speed invert. Now for applying our attribute points, we're going to max our close shot, max our driving layup, max our driving dunk. Then we're going to up the standing dunk till we have 4 finishing badges. For shooting, we're going to max our mid-range, max our 3, max our free throw. And we're going to back it down to 86 to where we have 16 shooting badges. For playmaking, you're going to max your pass accuracy, max your ball handle, and then up your post control all the way until we have 12. So we're going to up it to 44. Then you're going to put the rest on your defense by maxing perimeter defense, lateral quickness, and steal, and putting max on your defensive rebound. Now you have 7 left to play with. You can't get an extra defensive badge. You can max out your free throw and throw the other 5 to get the 17th shooting badge, or you can throw that extra 7, I believe, on Well, no, so we're going to put it on our free throw and our post fade to get that 17th shooting badge. So you're going to see here we got 4 finishing badges, 17 shooting badges, 12 playmaking badges, and 9 defensive and rebounding badges. So we do gain 2 extra finishing badges. Is that necessary per se? No, but if you want to, get that gold limitless takeoff, or you want to have silver limitless takeoff and silver slowly finisher, your finishing is going to be a little bit better. As far as shooting badges, we take a hit, we lose, I think it was 5. But with this high of a 3 ball and mid-range and a 3 ball, you don't necessarily need a ton of shooting badges this year. For playmaking, I believe we added 1. I always believe that you want as many playmaking badges as possible, so that is a plus. And defensively, I believe we added 1, maybe. I'll have to look back. But as far as the ratings go, let's go ahead and get in here. We're still going to go 6'3" again. We're going to minimize the weight. Obviously, we want as much speed as possible. And then we're going to go 1. On this one, we can actually max it. So the reason we can max the wingspan on this one, so at the start, when you use an even green-red pie chart, the starting ball handling rating is actually higher than a more green than red pie chart. So that allows us to max that wingspan. This in turn allows us to have a higher initial driving dunk, higher defensive stats, but still get that 76 ball handle, which means that 99 overall, you're now going to have an 80 ball handle, you're going to have an 83 ball, and you're going to have an 83 mid-range, not to mention the 78 driving dunk. And then defensively, you're going to have a 91 perimeter defense, a 91 lateral quickness, and a 99 steal. So the biggest difference between the more green than red and the even green red, if you're a much more comfortable shooter, or you're a more comfortable shooter, and you want more defense and finishing, go with the even green red pie chart. Because you're going to see here, in the earlier builds, we were getting mid-80s to start with and finishing with, at 99 overalls, having 90-something mid-range and 3 balls. This is not the case with this build. You're going to have mid-70s, mid to high 70s to start, and you're going to have in the 80s at 99 overall. But your defense is going to improve, and your finishing improves slightly and gets you some more badges. As far as the physicals go, we're going to see that we're pretty similar. So with your +8, you're going to have a 95 speed, you're going to have a 94 acceleration, and you're going to have a 91 vertical. So the vertical is actually a little higher on this build. Not that the +2 difference is that significant, but the primary things to focus on here are that you have a little less shooting, but you have more defense, and you have a little bit better finishing. So as far as our takeovers go, they're pretty similar. We did lose sharp take, but we gained slashing take. Now, the significance of this, if you want to have contact dunks while on takeover, you can do that. If you take slashing takeover, we have a 74 driving dunk to begin with. So that means when on slashing takeover, that boosts up to an 84, giving us contact dunks. If you don't care about that, or that's not important to you, you can go with playmaking take and again improve your ball handling and your passing to your teammates. But to add that extra ability of contact dunks, we're going to take slashing take. And you're going to see here that we've created a 2-way pass first point. Now, this is another great build. Like I said, the key difference between this and the first two is that your shooting takes a hit, but your defense is better. And I'm going to go ahead and show you a final build you can create that will be, another option for you. All right, so we're back in the builder for the last time. This is at the point where we do the even green-red. This is set up to be that 2-way pass first point build I just showed you. But the biggest change here is not going to be anything in the attributes again. It's going to be the height. So this is for if you want a taller point guard. This is just an option you have. You can go up to 6'5". You can minimize the weight. And then we're going to shorten the wingspan until we get that +1 on our ball handle. So you're going to take it down to 78.8. Now, the reason I am taking the wingspan down, I know it hurts our defense, but since we're 6'5", our wingspan isn't that different from what it would be when we were a shorter guard. We have the driving dunk of a 72. We've got the mid-range and three-pointer of an 85 and an 82. And we got a 76 ball handle. Then we got an 84, 84, 89 on defense. So at 99, you're going to have a 76 driving dunk, 89 mid-range, 86 three-pointer, 80 ball handle, 88 perimeter defense, 88 lateral quickness, and a 93 steal. Not to mention our physical stats are going to stay the same as before with the 93 speed, 92 acceleration, and the 91 vertical. So this is an option if you want a bigger point guard. I personally like to play on bigger point guards. You saw I like to play on my point forward build. So if you want that to go that route, this is definitely the way to do it. I understand the wingspan is a little short, but this allows you to get a higher mid-range and three-point rating than you had on the shorter version of this build. Not to mention your finishing is still good. You're in the 70s to begin with. You're also going to break that 80 ball handle threshold at 99 overall, and your defensive stats are in the high 80s at 99. So this is a very good option for those of you who want to play on a taller point guard. And you're going to see our takeover options. We do lose the slashing take option, but that's not that big of a deal because we can't get those driving contact dunks to begin with. What I would recommend on this guy, since we did make the wingspan a little shorter, is go with lock take this time. But you also, the next best option is going to be going with playmaking take because you want to improve your playmaking as much as you can. But for the sake of, getting back what we lose on our arm span, we're going to go with lockdown take. And you're going to see here that we've made a two-way mid-range facilitator. So this is definitely the rarest name build that we have. It's your tallest point guard build if you want to go that route. So as far as rarity, you want a tall point guard with a unique name, I would go with this, the two-way mid-range facilitator. If you want the best defensive build, I would go with that two-way pass first point. You want the best shooting build and kind of a sleeper, I'd go with the play shot. And if you want, in my opinion, the best all-around version, go with the two-way sharp. But that being said, I saw in a comment that someone requested this video, so I wanted to get it out to y'all pretty quick. And so as far as like the best 3&D point guards, these are probably the best four options you're going to see. If y'all have any better ideas or have something different that you think works better, drop a comment, and I'll look into it for sure. Again, thank you all for your engagement and just like constantly watching, liking, commenting, subscribing. It's all appreciated. And I hope y'all can, make these builds, try them out, and let me know what you think. But yeah, y'all keep getting buckets, and I'll talk to you soon.